Welcome to No Cap Sports YouTube channel. I'm your host, Matt Robinson, and today is going to be a fun one. We have a new updated draft order because some big trades that happened earlier today, and I'm also going to be involved with some trades of my own. But before we get into that, go ahead and give this video a like. Go ahead and subscribe. We have a new mock draft dropping every single Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And also go ahead and check out our podcast, which is going to be linked in the description below. Most recent show, we talked about our favorite draft prospects, some guys we think are sleepers, some guys that we think are overrated, and all that. So if you want to hear about any of that, go ahead and check out our podcast, which I also linked below, as I said. Also, comment any picks that you liked, any picks that you hated throughout this video, and let's get into it. All right, so like I said, we're going to get into it. So with the first pick, with the Jacksonville Jaguars, this one, I mean, we all know what's going to happen here. Trevor Lawrence is going to the Jacksonville Jaguars. We're not going to spend too much time on it. We saw it at his pro day, play very well. Hopefully the surgery went well, progressing well. Plays amazing. I mean, makes everything in the book. We'll see him put on a little bit more weight once he gets into the league, but this pick's set in stone. I'm not going to go too far into it. Next pick, it's pretty simple. I think the Jets and Zach Wilson are pretty much tied together. If they go somewhere else, this is one of the best smoke screens because it seems like this has been going this way probably for the last like 2 or 3 months. Zach Wilson hype train is built up, and then it looks like it stopped right here at number 2. It's going to fit that Kyle Shanahan type offense very well. I have a ton of great throws. I mean, we saw, if you go check on Twitter right now, he had his pro day earlier today this is the 26th of March. He had his pro day earlier today, made an incredible throw on the run, backpedaling, made it look so easy. He can make every throw in the book, super accurate quarterback. I mean, he's a playmaker, and he's going to go number 2. And now, almost took the wrong guy. Zach Wilson, number 2. Number 3, San Francisco 49ers. This is a new pick right here. So Niners, they gave up 3 first-round picks and a third next year to move up to this number 3 spot. They say, we're sticking with Jimmy Garoppolo. We're not going to move on from him. He's our quarterback for this year. Keyword this year. Kyle Shanahan knows where the league's going. You see these more athletic quarterbacks getting their chances and shining and taking the offense to the next level. Like we've seen Patrick Mahomes, we've seen Lamar Jackson, we've seen Josh Allen. If your quarterback can move as well as play the quarterback position, it's just going to open up your offense so much more. And I think Kyle Shanahan's going to get his guy. There's no way that you trade up to number 3 and not take your quarterback. Very, very scared. It might be Mac Jones because that's the Kyle Shanahan type of guy, but I think they traded up for Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields and Zach Wilson are their go-to options, and they will be happy with either of those 2 guys. They're going to fit the system super well, super athletic, super agile. And, I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo, he is going to be the starting quarterback for this year. There's no doubt about that. But you have an understudy. You have hopefully what they're setting up for is that Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes type of role where, Alex Smith still plays the whole season, and then Patrick Mahomes steps in the next year. I think that's what the 49ers are going to try to want to do with this number 3 overall pick and with Justin Fields. And if they go this route, I will be so happy. And I really do believe Justin Fields will be their quarterback of the future, maybe if the present. I really hope they don't go Mac Jones. That's all I got to say about the Niners pick. Justin Fields right here, that's the dream scenario right there. And I think Kyle Shanahan, no matter who he gets his hands on, will be able to mold him into the type of quarterback that he wants. But Justin Fields, great playmaker, great throwing ability. And we saw he ran a 4.42. We'll see if the pro day, if that was a legit 4.42 or not, but I still believe he's around that area. He can make all the throws that Kyle Shanahan wants. Plays within the pocket pretty well. With maturing and with growing in the offense, I think he's going to be a great player for them and have a pretty good career. And I absolutely love this move for the 49ers. I'm glad they're being aggressive and just not standing pat and saying like, we'll get our guy if he's there. No, they went up and they're going to get this guy. And if they don't hit on this pick, though, this might be where the Kyle Shanahan's as a head coach ends for the 49ers, so this pick is really make or break. Like if he hits on this, I mean, he's there probably the next 15 years. Misses on this pick, you're on the hot seat. So we'll see what happens. But I absolutely love Justin Fields. I love the move for the 49ers. I'm a 49ers fan, so this will make me the most happy. Moving to the next pick. This one is where it gets a little bit more interesting because the Falcons, they're around. They're tied to Matt Ryan for the next 2 years. They have a lot of needs. And I've tried trading back. So I was playing with this a little bit earlier. I tried trading back because this is a spot where I think the Panthers might trade with the Falcons. But I mean, the Panthers, they're in the same division. So I don't think they'll do that trade. I don't see another team coming up for a quarterback this high. I think the Falcons, we've seen salary cap get manipulated so much this year that I think that even if they have that much money tied in Matt Ryan, they can find a way to get out of some of it. I think they grab their quarterback of the future right here in Trey Lance. They have a new regime there. They're going to get their own guy in there. Trey Lance is a guy that's going to need to sit for a year. He played great his freshman year, redshirt freshman year. Bad game against Central Arkansas. I'm throwing that out the window. That completely doesn't matter to me anymore. But his freshman year played amazing. He's going to need a little bit more seasoning to get ready for the NFL, especially coming from North Dakota State. I think if he sits behind Matt Ryan for a year, he'll be ready to compete next year. We'll see what they do with his contract, but it's just the Falcons aren't going to be picking this high again, I think, unless Matt Ryan does get an injury. So if you have a quarterback that you know is going to be there, I'd rather they just take him right there and then. Then and there. There you go. But moving on, number 5 overall pick, Cincinnati Bengals. This is what I think is going to happen. Like we saw 4 quarterbacks go right there, and even if it's not all these teams taking 4 quarterbacks, I do think 4 quarterbacks go straight up off the board like that. I know it might be a little bit high for Trey Lance, but if you know that's the guy there, you're gonna have to come up and get him. And so number 5, Bengals. They got their quarterback last year, Joe Burrow. They need some protection for him. Right here, plug and play Penei Sewell. Plug and play him. You can play him at left tackle. You can play him at guard. Move Jonah Williams to left tackle. They just need to protect Joe Burrow at all stops. Like we saw him get hurt. We saw him literally have like run for his life almost all the time last year. And they were developing. Zach Taylor was giving him these deep passing concepts that way he had to wait in the pocket. It's just like there was no pocket to wait in, so he would just be getting sacked and he'd be taken off. And he was hitting the throws and he was playing great. It's just you need to get him more protection. Penei Sewell is the right pick here. I don't think the Bengals are going to budge from this spot. Moving on to the number 6 pick, though. This one was really interesting. So Dolphins traded back to 12 with the Niners. Then they traded back up with the Eagles. They gave up a first this year, first next year, and I believe a 3rd or 4th round pick, if I'm not mistaken, to move back up to 6. So there's definitely somebody that they want right there. Eagles trading back. The rumors are if Zach Wilson was there at 3, they would have traded up. But if he wasn't, they were just either going to stand back or trade back. But with the Niners moving up, there's no chance of them getting a quarterback, so they ended up moving back. What this tells me about the Dolphins, though, is that they're going to get an impact player. They know that they have a guy that they want that they can get at the number 6 overall pick. So what that leads me to thinking is that they're still going to get one of these top receivers. I think it's still a little bit rich for Devonta Smith. I know there's an Alabama connection. Him and Tua play great together, but I think either Jalen Waddle or Jamar Chase have to be the pick here. I'm going to say Jamar Chase because to me, he's wide receiver 1, best wide receiver in the game. I know they got Will Fuller. They have Devontae Parker and Preston Williams. Will Fuller signed a 1-year contract. I don't know. He's going to try to get a bigger contract next year. You get Jamar Chase in the building, and this man is the difference maker. I mean, we saw what he did with Joe Burrow. I mean, he was easily wide receiver 1 his freshman year. And then even without, he is a great route runner. He can get all the stuff done he needs to. And I think Jamar Chase is the right pick right here with the Dolphins. All right, next up is the Detroit Lions with the 7th overall pick. And I think this is where a big trade is going to happen. I got the Washington football team coming up and getting the quarterback. I know it's going to be tough for them. I know this is a high spot for him. But Washington, honestly, one of the better younger, close to being complete teams in the NFL. I think they need to make this move to go get a quarterback. And I think they're going to get their plug-and-play guy. So first we got to make this trade real quick. I think you get 1 this year, 1 next year, and probably like a 3. We'll see what that gets us. Maybe it'll have to involve a 2, but we're just going to get Washington all the way up here. Perfect. Lions accepted the offer. So we got Washington with the number 7 pick. The reason I traded all the way up here to number 7 is because one quarterback left. I know Mac Jones isn't everyone's favorite quarterback. I think this is going to how it's going to go, though. I think he's going to have to trade ahead of the Panthers because the Panthers are looking for another quarterback. Broncos potentially looking for a quarterback. The Washington football team, if they want somebody, are going to have to come up to this number 6 or 7 pick. That's just what they're going to have to do. They have a lot of pieces. They have Terry McLaurin. They signed Curtis Samuel. They have a really good young defensive line, solid cornerback group. They have a lot of pieces in place. They just need a quarterback. They need a guy. I think Mac Jones will be a plug-and-play starter. He's going to have high floor, low ceiling, so I don't know how much better he'll get after he's drafted and developed in the league, but he's a guy that you can be out there day one and you can trust him to make the throw. You can trust him to fulfill what the offense needs of him. And he's not going to go all out. He's not going to wow you, but he is going to be Kirk Cousins. I mean, Kirk Cousins, when he was in Washington, when they were working, played amazing. He played pretty well. He got them moving, especially in this weak NFC East. They can try to take advantage and work their way, even potentially win the division or get a wild card spot. I think that's the one position of need that they really are hurting for. Because if you're going Taylor Heineke and Ryan Fitzpatrick is really hit or miss. I think he's going to be a good. I mean, he's going to have another Alabama quarterback with him right there. I think he's going to be a good mentor for him. Fitzpatrick might start, and I think Mac Jones, by at least halfway through the season, will be able to progress to be that starter. I know it's high for him, but for some reason, I feel it's going to play out, and you really do have to get ahead of Carolina and ahead of Denver if you're going to want a quarterback in this draft. So I think Washington's going to be willing to overpay, and they get Mac Jones right there. So, we got 5 quarterbacks going in the first 7 picks. Don't know if this is how it shakes out on draft day, but it would have surprised me. So now moving here to the Carolina Panthers with the number 8 overall pick. What do we do now? We have no quarterbacks. They do have a tackle need. They do have a corner need. Do you go Kyle Pitts here? Do you give them another weapon? They did lose Curtis Samuel. They really only have DJ Moore. This is a really interesting spot, honestly. To me, you still have Patrick Surtain. I think Caleb Farley, we'll get to him in a little bit, but he has back injuries, and I think top 10 is going to want to steer clear of that. Tackle, you do have Rashawn Slater right here, but to me, right now, it's between Rashawn Slater and I'm going to do it. I think Kyle Pitts will work his way into this conversation right here at number 8 with the Carolina Panthers. Big, tall, big receiver. I mean, we saw ran 4.46. Solid blocking tight end. He can get everything done. You give Teddy Bridgewater another option to throw to. He didn't really use DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson too much, I think, to the most of their ability. But if you give another receiving option to him, I just don't think if they want to trade back, maybe get Patrick Surtain. But I think Kyle Pitts, if they stay right here, will be a fun option for that offense. Get them rolling, especially him in a Joe Brady offense. Super effective. He's going to be a fun player to watch. It's just I think they're going to wish that they got one of the quarterbacks. I think they're going to try to get to that number 4 pick, try to get to that number 5 pick and see if they can get somebody. But if this is how the draft falls, I think Kyle Pitts ends up as the Carolina Panther. And I don't think people will be too mad about that. But I absolutely love his game. I think he'll fit in there well. And I just don't think they need another speed receiver, which Jalen Waddle would be. And Devonta Smith potentially would be. But moving on to number 9, Denver Broncos do have a quarterback need. I mean, if you listen to our podcast, my co-host David absolutely hates Drew Lock. It's pretty hilarious. I don't think Drew Lock's that good, but you don't have any better options right now. Kyle Trask, definitely not a first-round quarterback. Definitely not even maybe day 3 or day 4 quarterback. Round 3 or round 4 quarterback. My bad. But right here, Vic Fangio got his cornerback. They got Fuller from the Bears, so they don't need that huge corner need anymore. And with the Caleb Farley news, that works out super well for them. And a Vic Fangio defense, though, you need linebackers. We saw him with Navarro Bowman. We saw him with Roquan Smith. We saw him with Patrick Lewis, all those guys throughout the years. You give him a great player in Micah Parsons, and he's going to be able to mold him so well into exactly probably one of the best middle linebackers in the league. Micah Parsons yesterday had his pro day, ran a 4.39 as a linebacker. This dude is versatile. He is quick. He is smart. Yes, he does have the off-the-field stuff, but the talent compared to what's going on is too much not to take right here. It's too much not to pass up on. So Micah Parsons to the Broncos, honestly, it seems like a great fit to me. He's going to be all over the place for them. He's going to be calling that defense. And with the quarterback situation kind of somewhat figured out, I think it's not going to be a luxury pick anymore. Like, they need somebody to command that defense. And I think Micah Parsons would be the perfect player for that. So moving on to the next pick, Dallas Cowboys. And you still have one of the top quarterbacks on the board in Patrick Surtain. Still have Rashawn Slater if I want to go that route. It'll be interesting to see how all this stuff kind of plays out. I think they still go cornerback. They matched Trevon Diggs with Patrick Surtain, both Alabama guys. Just need to keep rebuilding this defense. I mean, we saw Mike Nolan absolutely trash this defense last year. They really couldn't get anything done. There's no defensive lineman. I could maybe Jalen Phillips, but I don't think the Cowboys go that route. I think they get another cornerback just because they've been starving that position by choosing not to pay Byron Jones, which honestly was a mistake. But yeah, I think Patrick Surtain falls to them. They'll be happy. Moving on to the number 11 pick, New York Giants. This one is where it gets interesting because I don't think they need a receiver anymore. Like they signed Kenny Galladay, have Darius Slayton, have Sterling Shepard. I think that's a solid top three. You're not starving for receiver talent. The edge class I like. I think I might end up going there. Kyle Pitts is already off the board. I think it would have been a fun player for him here. Potentially Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, get a good coverage linebacker because they have Blake Martinez who, he's a run stopper and that's about it. He cannot cover anybody. So right now I think I'm gonna have to go. I think I'm gonna go Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I like his game. I love his coverage ability. You can play him all over the place, and he's going to help build up this Giants defense. They hired already James Bradbury played pretty well last year. They had a few guys play pretty well. I think Owusu-Koramoah at his size, at his speed, and what he does best is coverage. He's going to give you a chess piece that you can just move all over the place. I absolutely love his game. Love what he can do on the field. I think Joe Judge will be able to get the most out of him. We saw Joe Judge, honestly, in his first year have solid coaching. He didn't play as bad as he didn't coach as bad as I thought he would have. Hopefully, we see Andrew Thomas, their first-round pick from last year, progress because they did invest the number 4 overall pick with him. So I think their offense, honestly, don't hate Daniel Jones. They're getting Saquon back. They have a solid receiving core. Hopefully, Evan Ingram can turn it around. And he's been every year. He has the upside. He has the potential, and he just never ends up hitting it. Hopefully this is the year, but I think their defense is something they need to continue to build up. And I'm going Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah right here. I just love his coverage ability and love that he can just honestly be all over the place with this defense. But moving on to the next pick, Philadelphia Eagles. So Eagles traded back from 6 to 12. So either the guy that they knew they could get right here, or as I said earlier, they were trying to get Zach Wilson, but now that's completely off the table. What do the Eagles do here? We still need a wide receiver for that team because I don't know. They believe in Jalen Hurts, I guess, now because they won't get Zach Wilson. So we'll see what happens. But you got wide receiver needs. Deshaun Watson's gone. Alshon Jeffrey's gone. You really just have Travis Fulgham if you even want to call him one of your best receivers, I guess, right now. Dallas Goedert's taking over the tight end position. This one, it has to be a receiver. There's no way that you can't be. I think that it has to be I like Rashad Bateman for them in the second round. I don't know if first round and 12th pick is a little bit high for me. They're going to go, I think, Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle has that Tyreek Hill type speed, game-changing ability. He can make plays all over the place. He's so versatile. He's so fast. You can play him in the slot. He can play outside. I definitely do believe in that. You give Jalen Hurts a weapon that he has. I actually don't think he threw to before. I think Waddle wasn't there yet when Jalen Hurts had transferred. But I love Jalen Waddle's game. Super fast, solid route runner, but the speed makes up for everything. Pretty good height. You give this Eagles an option, just another dimension. You give this offense another dimension, especially with the new head coach coming in. You want a weapon, and you want to prove that you can get this offense moving. You get him a wide receiver. You get him going, and I think Jalen Waddle will be a great pick for them and potentially show shades of a young Deshaun Jackson in that offense. Moving to the number 13 pick. Not San Diego, Los Angeles Chargers. All right. Los Angeles Chargers, they got Corey Linsley. They still need a tackle. Absolutely still need a tackle and potentially even a guard. But biggest spot, you get your left tackle right here. You get Christian Tarasov. You're protecting Justin Herbert's blind side, my bad. We saw Herbert go off last year. Keenan Allen's there. Mike Williams is in a contract year. I think if Jalen Waddle's still here, that would be a fun option potentially. If you want to replace Melvin Ingram, put Jalen Phillips there, I wouldn't be surprised. But I think you get your left tackle in the future. You protect Justin Herbert. You marry those two together. It'll work out well in the long term. And we saw what happened with Joe Burrow when he didn't have protection. He was all getting sacked. He was all getting hurt. If you give Justin Herbert time, he will light you up. Christian Darrisaw will give him that time. Great footwork, great technique. This is the absolute best pick for the Chargers right here, I believe. And moving on to the number 14 pick. This is exactly, I think, how Minnesota wants this board to fall. Because if they can get a Rashawn Slater right here, because it's really between Rashawn Slater and Elijah Vera Tucker for me right here. Their offensive line needs are so big. Their defense, I think, can play still solid. You have Mike Zimmer there. Offense is, it's all right. You have Justin Jefferson, amazing. You have Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook. You need that offensive line to play well in order for Kirk Cousins to succeed. So right here, I am going to take offensive line, and I'm going to take Rashawn Slater. just because of his versatility. You can play him on the interior if you need to, but they got rid of Riley Reef. There we go. They got rid of Riley Reef. I think he's a plug and play guy right there. And if you don't like him, I mean, he will be a Pro Bowl guard, I believe, if you play him on the inside. But if you just plug and play, he's a good to go guy, and he's so versatile. I think Minnesota's absolutely going to love him if this happens. Now, this is kind of where it gets interesting. New England Patriots paid a ton of guys right here. They got their tight ends. They got receivers. They really don't have too many needs. Do they pass up a Caleb Farley right here? I don't know. Do they pass up somebody else? This is a really interesting one for me. And this one is where I am going to trade right here. I'm going to bring up a trade. I am going to try to get the Tennessee Titans up to pick 15. That's the thing that we're going for right here. So Titans, Patriots, 22, 15. Move this down, see acceptance rate. And a 3, if that's all it takes, honestly. I will be happy. Sorry, Patriots denied. Let's go in the top 3 picks. If this doesn't go through, then we will. Oh, Patriots accept offer. Perfect. All right. So what they're coming up here for? Cornerback. Oh my God, they are hurting so badly. They got rid of their top 2 cornerbacks. I forget who. They have Christian Fulton, I believe, is going to be the starting cornerback this year. That's not what you want to hear. They paid Bud Dupree a lot. I would have really loved if they had traded, if they had kept at least Corey Davis or somebody like that, because they lost Johnny Smith, they lost Corey Davis, and those are big parts of the offense. It's big parts that help Ryan Tannehill. We'll see what happens there, but I think if Caleb Farley falls this far, I think New England, Mike Vrabel get the deal done. Mike Vrabel and the Titans get the deal done with the New England Patriots. Trade up. We've seen the Patriots trade down if their guy's not there. I don't believe their guy that they want is there. Accumulate more picks in the draft. I don't know if it's going to be like how I did it. I just wanted to get the Titans up there. But right here, you're going to have to get Caleb Farley. You're going to have to get in front of the Cardinals because that's their biggest need. That's what they need the most. But yeah, Caleb Farley, the reason I think he will fall is literally because he has back spasms, he has back injuries. There's a lot of stuff going on in that department. How long his career will last, it's questionable. He could have just not had back problems his whole rest of his career, but there's also that potential of just a medical red flag where he might only play like 7 or 8 years at most, maybe 6 to 8 years. And that's something that when we get closer to the draft, we'll see teams come out with their medical reports. We'll hear if he has red flags or not. But I think he's going to fall a little bit, but I don't think he falls outside the top 16. And so right here, Titans come up. They get their cornerback of the future, at least for the next few years. And Caleb Farley, I mean, his game is amazing. His tape is amazing. It's literally just the back spasms. He is my cornerback 1. But because of the medicals, I can't take him as cornerback 1 just because I know Patrick Surtain has the intangibles. He has all the makeup that you want. It's literally just Caleb Farley has back injuries, and back injuries are like hamstring injuries. Like they kind of just don't go away. So we'll see what happens there. But I think the Titans will come up, get their guy, and Caleb Farley will be a Tennessee Titan. Moving to the next pick, Arizona Cardinals. So Arizona just missed out on Caleb Farley, missed out on Surtain. They have a huge cornerback need. J.C. Horn, I mean, he played really he at his pro day, had a really good pro day. I just think it's still a little bit high to take him right here. And so what I think they do, they got Rodney Hudson. They continue to build the line. They get Elijah Vera Tucker, I believe someone that can play tackle and be successful at tackle, but also you can plug him in at guard, and I think he'll be a Pro Bowl level guard. You got to keep Kyler Murray up. You got to keep him healthy. Big thing is just like with these young quarterbacks, build the offensive line. They have enough weapons on the outside. They have, I mean, we saw them go get J.J. Watt on defense. They have Chandler Jones on defense. I just don't think there's a guy right now to take at cornerback that they'd want. Potentially trade back into the later half of the first round to take somebody, but I think they stand pat at this spot. Get their guy, Elijah Vera Tucker. He's going to be great. He's going to be good for that scheme fit, super mobile while still having solid technique and protection ability. I think this is the way to go, and Cardinals fans and the Cardinals wouldn't be mad if they miss out on Farley but still get Vera Tucker right here. So moving to the next team. Oakland. Man, I've been messing up with these names. Las Vegas Raiders. At pick number 17, we see right here, biggest need. They still need a tackle. I'd love for them to get a linebacker because they paid Corey Littleton last year, and that looks like a really bad deal right now. We thought he was going to have coverage ability, doesn't really have that. He's kind of a second or third linebacker that you want. He's not a starting linebacker right now. But hey, there he is. They're tied to him at least through this next year. If Owusu-Koramoah is here, I think this would be one of the most perfect fits for him. But since he's not, I think we're going to go tackle. They still need another right tackle. And I think Tevin Jenkins is going to be that guy. He's going to be a plug-and-play mauler. I think John Gruden's going to fall in love with him. And I think that's a good marriage, a good fit for him. You don't really have a quarterback that you can get there. Derek Carson's like a solid dude. Potentially could have gotten a wide receiver like a Devonta Smith or maybe a Rashad Bateman, but you have to protect Derek Carr. You have to protect Josh Jacobs. That's building through the trenches. They get Tevin Jenkins right here. Plug and play right tackle for them. Moving on to the number 18 pick. This one gets interesting. So the Dolphins, we already saw them trade back. We saw them go earlier. We'll look back. I believe Ja'Marr Chase. Yes, we got Ja'Marr Chase right there. So they got the receiver. They still Devonta Smith on the board, and potentially if they don't draft a receiver at 6, I still think they'd get Devonta Smith down here somewhere just because I feel like the NFL will have concerns about his weight because at the pro day he said he was 170 pounds. So he had 4 years at Alabama, wasn't able to put on weight. When he gets to the league, maybe 5 to 10 pounds, but I don't think he's going to be any more than that. So right here, we go edge rusher. We're going to keep him in Miami. We're going to go to Jaelan Phillips right here. Jaelan Phillips, he's a difference maker. We saw him. We know he medically retired from football, came back, had a monster year at Miami. I think that the Dolphins are going to love that. Brian Flores to get the most out of him. And that Miami defense. I mean, Miami, they were a 10-6 team last year. I thought it was going to be until this year when they started really going off. We'll see if Tua will be able to handle everything, but they got that offense figured out. You give them another defense player, a game record, I think, with Jaelan Phillips on the outside. You have Xavier Howard still. You still have but you have Xavier Howard, Byron Jones, and then you have Jaelan Phillips on the line. Potentially we need to get a new linebacker there, but for right now, I think this is the best pick for them, and I would absolutely love to see Jaelan Phillips in the Dolphins uniform. To me, I can just picture that, and it would work out great. So moving on to the next team. We have the Detroit Lions at 19. So Lions traded back for this one. This is going to be – they have a lot of needs, so I think this is obviously what they're going to do. Cornerback, they have Jeff Okudah. Jeff Okudah looked really bad last year, but I mean, hey, that's growing pains. Cornerback is behind quarterback. Cornerback is probably the second hardest position to play in the NFL, and especially coming into the rookie. So I think Jeff Okudah is going to take that next step next year. There's no top blue chip cornerback that I want right here. So I think you get this offense going. You get Jared Goff a weapon. They lost Kenny Galladay. They lost Marvin Jones. And you get Devonta Smith right here. Devonta Smith is a shifty guy. I just talked about his weight concerns, but besides that, literally that's the only negative I have for Devonta Smith. Great route runner, amazing speed, amazing burst off the line. Literally, it's just his weight. That's the biggest problem. 170 pounds. Not many guys succeed at 170 pounds, 175 pounds in the NFL. I think he will be the outlier amongst the bunch, and he will get the job done. I mean, they get Devonta Smith at 19. This is right around the range I kind of see him going. Maybe they fall in love with a Rashad Bateman, someone like that. But I think Devonta Smith, give Jared Goff an option, and it'll be a fun offense for them. And this is going to be a long rebuild for the Lions, so you just get as many good players in there as you can. I think he's going to be a great character, probably a leader on the team. I think Devonta Smith, it will be a great fit for the Lions, and give Dan Campbell a bunch more quotes to talk about because that man is hilarious. All right. So Lions 19, go Devonta Smith. Moving on to the Bears right now. Okay, so Bears, the fans, I feel sorry for you. Andy Dalton, QB1, and they're confident in that. You overpaid for Andy Dalton. You overpaid for Nick Foles. You got rid of the MVP in Mitch Trubisky. Honestly, don't even think they upgraded at quarterback at all. Allen Robinson stuck there. I think you just continue to build. I think the Bears are going to have a top 5 pick next year. And the only way they don't is if their defense just elevates to the next level. But they got rid of Fuller at cornerback. They still have a great line and a great linebacking core, so they can get the job done. But I think they could potentially have a top 5, top 10 pick this year. And so with that, I think you just either continue to build in the trenches or you get your next Allen Robinson. I love Darnell Mooney. I think offensive line need is kind of big for them, but it's going to take a while for this rebuild. I know it's going to be a while. I think you get a good player in the building. I'll still have them build through the trenches. I think that's what the Bears are kind of known for: ground and pound, tough style of offense. Get Jalen Mayfield right here, an athletic guy that can play left tackle, can play right tackle, and honestly just bear down. Pardon the pun, but it's going to be bad for the Bears next year. I don't see it going well. You just get guys in there that can compete and that are going to be there for the long term. I think you go Jalen Mayfield right here and pray that you get a top 5 pick next year and get a new quarterback, because Andy Dalton should not be starting in this league. But moving on to the next pick, Indianapolis Colts. This is a really interesting situation just because they don't have a left tackle. They did re-sign T.Y. Hilton, which was big for them because it's really T.Y. Hilton and Michael Pittman for Carson Wentz, and that is not the best option, but it's better than what it was. I think they're going to give serious thought to Bateman, Toney, and Marshall right here. I don't think that'll be the route they end up going just because offensive line is one of their biggest needs, and they are one of the most complete teams in the NFL, so they can take this pick right here. I think that they go with Liam Eichenberg. I think they're going to love his technique, put him right next to Quentin Nelson, have that combo right there just for years to come, and give Carson Wentz as much time in the pocket as he can. Give this full Carson Wentz experiment. We'll call it an experiment. Make sure it's going to be, there's no things that are going to mess it up, get in the way. You get Liam Eichenberg in there. I love him. I liked him at Notre Dame. Great technique, great skills. It's prototypical Notre Dame offensive lineman, where he knows what he needs to do, always in the right space, not overly athletic, but athletic enough to get the job done and solid in his technique. I think Liam Eichenberg is the pick right here, and he will be their starter day 1 of training camp. But moving to the next pick, so New England Patriots traded back from this one. Not too many people that got taken that I think would make a huge difference there. Obviously, no quarterback here still. Linebacker is kind of a need. Merriweather retired. I think if Micah Parsons is there at 15, they jump all over him. But I don't think as we saw, that's not what's happening. Just because of the Caleb Farley injury and stuff was moving around. So Patriots do trade back, and they do tend to trade back a lot. So where we go right here, I think we go wide receiver. They did just pay Nelson Aguilar. They did just pay Kendrick Bourne. They have Jacoby Myers. I think you still get another receiver in there because Aguilar, 1 year production. I don't know about that. Kendrick Bourne is more of a 2 or 3 wide receiver. And Jacoby Myers, I still think is another 2-3 wide receiver. I think you get somebody that can potentially be a wide receiver 1 in the long term, and you get Rashad Bateman. I love his game. He ran a 4.39. If you hear me talk about him in our last podcast, I think he plays more closer to 4.5, which it's not slow, but he's more of a technical route runner. He gets open, does a solid job of getting open on his own and working for it. Good route runner, good way of stacking his routes to confuse cornerbacks. I like him right here for the Patriots. You give Cam another big option, and you just continue to build this offense that has been deprived of talent for the past few years. So right here, I go Rashad Bateman. To me, this is a great fit right here. And moving on to the next pick, same division, AFC East, New York Jets. We saw them earlier in the draft take Zach Wilson. We saw them take Zach Wilson at number 2. Do have a cornerback need, and I think this is where the J.C. Horn clock starts right here because they have a huge cornerback need. They do have an edge need, though. I think we're still going to stick either cornerback or linebacker. You do have C.J. Mosley coming back. Wide receiver potentially, but I think you can find a day 2 guy and maybe even a day 3 guy that'll be productive in this system where you get somebody that can start day 1. And I think I'm going to go J.C. Horn right here. You get him with a defensive coach that'll be able to coach him up and get him to not grab as much. You get a nice physical cornerback. And Robert Saleh, he's been in the same building as Richard Sherman when he was in Seattle. He was in the building with Jalen Ramsey when he was with the Jaguars, and he was in the building with the 49ers when Richard Sherman was there. So he's been around good cornerbacks. most of his career. I think he'll be able to help out with the coaching and have him play physical but not be grabby. I feel like that'll be a good fit. He'll be potentially the starting one corner, maybe a two corner, the number two corner. But I think right here that is a good fit for him. You get a coach that'll be able to make the most out of his talent, and that'll be a fun one right there. I feel like he'd be a scheme fit. We'll see what Jeff Ulbrich does. I don't really know what kind of defense he's going to run, but I assume it's going to be similar to what Saleh ran in San Francisco. So I think J.C. Horn will be a good fit there, and I don't think if I were a team, I wouldn't take him above this pick right here, pick 23, just because there are a lot of holding concerns with him. But I think he's a really good physical cornerback, and I mean, they can't call defensive holding on every single play, but he's going to get a fair amount of flags probably his first year in the NFL. But I think this will be a good landing spot for him right here at Jets. Moving on to the next pick, that's Pittsburgh Steelers. Haven't brought back Alejandro Villanueva yet. Villanueva didn't retire either, so that one might be something we see. They got Juju back last week, so they have the receiving core. They honestly are the most complete team. It's just how good is Ben Roethlisberger still? Can he get them over that hump? They started off 11-0 last year. It's kind of a fake 11-0. It didn't really feel like it. They were the best team in the NFL, but I think right here you have to get an offensive lineman. If you're going to protect Ben Roethlisberger, if Ben Roethlisberger is going to be your guy, you have to protect him, give him all the time you need. I would, in a perfect world, if they bring back Villanueva, I would love Najee Harris right here. Najee Harris feels like a Pittsburgh Steeler to me, just a big bruising running back that they haven't had in a couple of years, and that would be a great fit for me. But as of right now, they still don't have a left tackle. I think they're going to go Dylan Radins right here. I understand that he did play at North Dakota State, but he has pretty good film. I think it'll take a little bit to translate to the NFL, but going up against TJ Watt and going up against that defense line will help. Iron sharpens iron kind of mentality. Get him going. He feels like a Pittsburgh Steelers guy. He's not afraid of the cold. He's a big dude. He's a mauler. He's ready to go, and he's going to protect Ben Roethlisberger and his blind side. But I kind of hope they find Villanueva back just because he hasn't retired. He's a really good player. He's a good enough player to where you can still play him and it'll be serviceable, and they go get a Najee Harris. They go get somebody that can be a difference maker because they don't really have too many needs as of right now. I think Dylan Radins, you get him right here, plug and play. He'll take his lumps every once in a while, but I think you have to get a left tackle right there for them. And then we're going to stay with the tackle theme right here, and we're going to go Sam Cosmi for the Jacksonville Jaguars at pick number 25. You got Trevor Lawrence, number 1 overall. Cam Robinson did sign the franchise tag, but we don't know if that's going to be long-term. You get Sam Cosmi, who, I mean, dude, 6'7", 300 pounds. Did have some problems with play strength at Texas, but I think you get him in an NFL weight room, you get him going, and he will be able to protect at least – he'll be able to play tackle in the NFL for a long term. Just get his weight up, get a little bit more functional play strength, and really build his frame a little bit more. But I've been saying it the whole time. If you have a young quarterback, you want to build your offensive line because you don't want your young quarterback going down. They're going to have to protect Trevor Lawrence at all costs because he is the number 1 overall pick. He is the person that is supposed to turn around this franchise. You have to give him the best chance to do that. So they signed Marvin Jones. They have DJ Chark. I love their receiving core right now. If they can maybe potentially get an Amari Rodgers or a Cornell Powell. Amari Rodgers day 2, maybe a Cornell Powell later in like the 5th, 6th rounds. I think I'd absolutely love their receiving core. But with Marvin Jones on one side, DJ Chark, you're going to have Trevor Lawrence. You're going to want to protect him. You want to give him time. James Robinson in the backfield. I think that is the most natural solution for the Jacksonville Jaguars right there. And, yeah, that's all I got to say on that one. Jaguars right there, 25, get the tackle, get somebody to protect Lawrence for the long term. Moving to the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns, this is honestly one of their dream scenarios too because they've been looking for someone to start opposite Myles Garrett. They brought in Jadeveon Clowney for a visit, didn't get him signed. Olivier Vernon doesn't seem like he's coming back. They need a big dude to put on the outside that be able to have some pass rushing ability. So to give, at least a scare on the other side because Myles Garrett's going to get his double teams most of the time or gets people chipping him. If you get somebody that can rush on the other side, all of a sudden this defense is moving to the next level. It's taking that next step that it needs to. And their offense is pretty set right now. Kwity Paye is still here. If you go listen to the last podcast, I'm not the biggest fan of Kwity Paye. I just don't see it. I understand there is potential there, but he spent 4 years at Michigan, and it kind of looked like he put it together. But right now, I'm taking the guy with more upside. He played only 1 year. I understand that, but it was a tremendous year. 19 and a half sacks at Miami. He was able to play on the outside and on the inside. He's versatile. He can get to the rusher, and I mean, he's like 6'5", 6'6", around there. 260 pounds, somewhere on that. I think that's where he'll play. He's a people mover. He's a big dude. He has the most potential. I love what the Browns are doing. You get them another weapon on this defense, and it'll be able to take the Browns defense to that next level. Also, potentially could target cornerback here, but I love Greg Russo's game. He's, I mean, as I said, so versatile. Needs to use his hands more. I mean, but he's still learning how to not play the position, but he's still maturing into the position. That's what I want to say. I mean, I think he's only 20 years old. Like, he's a really young dude. And I think the Browns would absolutely love if he'd fall this far. Potentially, he could go a little bit earlier, but I think between the 15 to 30 range is where he's going to end up the back half of the first round. A few more picks left. We have Baltimore Ravens right here. Edge need. They do like their big dude, so potentially Kwity Paye here, but as I said, they don't really like him. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get Packers to trade up. That's the plan, at least. We go to the NFC, the Green Bay Packers, and then we go to AFC with Baltimore. I think you go 1-1. What's that? 1-1 and a 4 potentially. Swap ones, give a 4, maybe another later draft pick that's offered in there. And the reason the Packers do this is so they can get their guy at wide receiver, because the Saints do have kind of a wide receiver need. Emmanuel Sanders isn't there. It's really just Michael Thomas in that receiving core. Haven't signed anybody, so I think the Packers, they're scared that their guy might get taken. They need somebody. They need another player in the offense. I think that other player is going to be Terrace Marshall. I understand Kadarius Toney, great shifty dude, but we've seen how the Packers tend to build. They like their big, fast wide receivers. Terrace Marshall, 6'3", about 200 pounds. I mean, I don't think he's run yet for his pro day, but he's going to be fast. Similar, he's been overshadowed by Justin Jefferson and by Jamar Chase while he's at LSU, but he's still going to be a solid number 2 wide receiver. That's exactly what you want opposite Devontae Adams. You want a big, fast guy, technical route runner, big body, can get the job done, reliable hands. That's something that Packers fans have been waiting for. They need somebody like that. And with them not getting either Will Fuller or Corey Davis in free agency, leads me to believe that they will target a wide receiver in the draft. And they trade ahead of the Saints to do that. They get their guy in Terrace Marshall, and they give Aaron Rodgers another weapon to run it back with. I still understand they do have offensive line needs, but I think Aaron Rodgers has been hiding for a weapon for so long that they go and pull the trigger on this one. All right, with the Packers moving ahead, I don't think that completely takes wide receiver off the board for the New Orleans Saints. They do have a big cornerback need, but I think they need a weapon on that offense other than Alvin Kamara and other than Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas is a possession receiver. We saw Carlton Davis call him slant boy. He really just mainly runs slants. He really doesn't run deep at all for most of his routes. I think you get a speed option in the offense, give Sean Payton a fun weapon. Potentially whoever's going to be starting quarterback, either Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston, gets another weapon to play with. Their defense has been playing very well, and we saw them neglect the defense for almost 10 years. I don't think they're going to go that route. I think they're going to end up needing a wide receiver, and they're going to get Kadarius Toney, who almost the opposite of Michael Thomas, where he can burn you over the top, he can burn you with a deep post, and he can also hit you with the slant. You can put him in the slot, he can play outside. A lot of versatility. I think with Sean Payton, he'll be able to get the most out of him. And I love the move for the Saints right there. You get another wide receiver, you get another player in the offense with Kadarius Toney. Next pick, Baltimore Ravens. Traded back for this one. They do have the edge need still. 2 receivers off the board. 2 guys they could potentially target, because we did see them try to make a run at Corey Davis. They do need a big receiver, but with them passing on Terrace Marshall here, Rashad Bateman not being here anymore, I don't think they go after a Rondale Moore, just because, one, clocked in at 5'7", ran in the 4.2, ran a 4.29, completely fast, has hamstring problems. I don't think he'll be a day 1 pick, but he has day 1 potential. De'Ami Brown is a name that's been floating around. Chris Sims ranked him as his number 3 receiver. I know a few other guys from the Draft Network have them as their number 5 receiver, I believe. But yeah, potentially, I just don't see them fitting in with Baltimore. I think Baltimore gets their guy to replace Earl Thomas. I mean, they've had to put people back there last year, but you get a true free safety right here and Teron Merrick, and you just plug and play him. He's honestly, this safety class isn't the best, and he is the top safety. I don't know if I do believe the first round talent. He's going to be a great free safety in the league. It's just after him, it's like there's tier 1, and then there's the rest of people right here. So it's not too much. It's a little bit shallow, we'll say. Yeah, the safety group is a little bit shallow here. You get Trevon Merrick, who's going to be a long-term starter in Baltimore. Baltimore's defense, I mean, that's literally one of the best defenses in the league for the past few years. Don't fall off at all. Put a plug-and-play starter right here at the number 29 overall pick. Like, you get a plug-and-play guy here. Not Dolphins. Ravens don't have too many needs. I think Trevon Merrick will be able to fit that role for them and give them a lot of versatility. Moving on. Well, we got 3 more picks left. All right, moving on to the Buffalo Bills. Obvious need outside of across from Trey White. I have been loving Greg Newsome. He is a really interesting dude in my book. I just don't know if it's right here. They could try Greg Newsome, potentially Kwity Paye. That'll be another one. I just love this pick so much. I'm going to do it. I'm going to Najee Harris right here. Najee Harris to the Buffalo Bills. He just gives another whip. I mean, they have Stephon Diggs. You have Emmanuel Sanders now. You still have Cole Beasley. You have Josh Allen, who's a bruiser, a runner himself. You get Najee Harris in that backfield. He is above Devin Singletary. He's a better player than any guy in the running back room as of right now. They were able to re-sign Darrell Williams, Matt Milano. They were able to re-sign almost all their guys, which is amazing. I think they have the time. They have the luxury of taking a running back in the first round. And with Najee Harris, once it gets later into the season when it's snowing, he's going to be almost like a Derrick Henry type where he's just going to be bulldozing over people and just, I mean, he's going to look like a man playing against children. And I feel like he fits great in Buffalo. Haven't had a bruising running back in a little bit, in a few years, honestly. You get Najee Harris, I think it'll be a fun fit there, be a perfect fit for what they do. And I would love to see it right there. If not, we can also see potentially, if I hadn't picked them there, I would have potentially tried to get Miami or somebody else to come up at this number 32 pick and try to trade for him. But for right now, I think Najee Harris at the Buffalo Bill, that'd be – the Bills just need somebody that can beat the Chiefs. You give them a better ground game with that receiving offense. Their defense is already one of the best in the league. I think Najee Harris will be the way to go here. Moving on to the Chiefs. So Chiefs are another interesting thing. A couple weeks ago, we talked about them on the podcast, me and my co-host. I believe I was with Andrew that day. We were talking about what the Chiefs would do here. Because at the time, they had no offensive line. They just had Thuney. They signed Kyle Long out of retirement. Still don't have any tackles. I don't know what they're going to do. They still are down 2 tackles. And this was honestly, I know this will be my most shocking pick of the draft. I can understand why it's a reach. I understand all that stuff. But you're going to get a tackle, and you're going to get an athletic tackle. So right here, you have Cardman and Leatherwood who have tackle potential. I think you get a true tackle, and I know it's a reach. I understand that he needs time to develop, but I'm going to take Spencer Brown out of Northern Iowa. I absolutely love to the pro day. I love what he's able to do. Dude is 6'8", 315-ish pounds, and we're in a 6'9" cone. Like, that's an athlete right there. That's an athletic dude. With Andy Reid, he'll be able to develop perfectly well. You need need a great offensive lineman there. You need an athletic offensive lineman in there. I think Spencer Brown, under the right coaching, I think Andy Reid is the right coaching, will be able to get to that level of being a first-round pick. And I see him right now as a day 2 kind of guy. Maybe a late 2, Rams will target him somewhere. Seahawks might target him. But I think right now, I just wanted to bring his name up. They have a big tackle need right there. I think Spencer Brown can be a long-term option right there for the Kansas City Chiefs. And he's not only – if you go listen to the podcast, he's not only There's another guy at Northern Iowa that I absolutely love as a day 3 pick. Go check out the podcast to see who that is, because I think that guy will be a potential difference maker in the NFL in a couple years. But with the last pick, I think the Buccaneers are going to stay here. Buccaneers, another team where they were able to bring everybody back. We saw them sign Ndamukong Suh, Shaq Barrett, Chris Godwin still there, Gronkowski, Tom Brady extended. They got everyone they need back. So anyone here is a luxury pick, and I think that's where we take Kwity Paye, because it's going to be potential. It's going to be he's a little bit raw still. He still has the room to build, and if you put him as a rotational specialist, you put him as a big guy that you can put in the inside sometimes, keep on the outside, he'll be a solid run blocker for you. He can develop into something more. And I think Tampa Bay will be the perfect spot for him to do that. So that wraps up the mock draft. Had a few trades, but we'll go through the picks right here. Not too many surprises. 49ers trade up to get Justin Fields. I think that's exactly what's going to happen, because 49ers, even though they committed Jimmy Garoppolo, you don't trade up that much to not get a quarterback. Not too many surprises right here. Mac Jones at number 7. Understand that will be a reach. But when you have a guy that has potential, first or second round talent, quarterbacks are overvalued in this league. Don't be surprised if he's a top 15 pick. Absolutely don't be surprised if he's a top 15 pick. But we got Owusu-Koramoah right there. Jalen Phillips staying in Miami. I love a lot of the stuff that I did in this one. Wish I could have gotten a couple more guys in here, but I'm happy enough with this one. I like it. But yeah, go ahead. Tell me what picks I got right. Tell me what picks I got wrong. Hate on my picks. Love on my picks. Just go ahead, comment below and tell me what you love. Tell me what you hated. And I'll try to respond what I can, see what I can do. But go ahead, also follow us on Twitter at NoCapSport. Leave a comment. We're releasing these every single Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific time. And peace out. We'll see you next time.